we're going to continually go over things because you have to build a foundation of faith, of good faith. You've been caught in a foundation of bad faith because you're supporting something that's been done in bad faith, not good faith. Nothing in the legal is good faith. It's bad faith. It comes from the lawyers. They're devil's advocates, so don't expect anything good to come from that tree. They speak with definitely forked tongue, as the native peoples accused them of when they were getting them to sign treaties, to tell the crown that they own the land when they never believed they owned the land. And then they made them, under force and duress, sign a treaty that said that they owned the land, and that they were now disposing of a false concept into someone else's hand to say that they own the land now in trust for them. This is just bizarre, but it's the reality of the system that is operated by people who work for the devil. So I can understand there could be an apprehension and fear going on, but be very cautious and careful of who you have fear of. You should be fearing God, which is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge, not fearing man, who is corruptible and does not have the power that he may seem to assert. So we have to go to the beginning on all this. And so we're going to go to the word invalid, which means not legally binding. Now, the first thing that ever happened where your private name that your parents gave you went on to a record, if in any way that this seems to imply a contract, a child cannot be bound to any contract. He can't enter a contract. So therefore, anything that would even imply that would be invalid, which is another word for invalid. But when you authorize something that's invalid and make it valid, your consent's there. So you're actually taking something that could never have been valid without your energy doing it. So you validate an invalid document that started right at the beginning. This is the beginning. This was void right from the beginning, void ab initio. You can go look up the term. I'm not going to pull out 10 law books for you at this point. I think now we've kind of got past that. Look up the term void ab initio. There's a site, Duhame's Law, has a straightforward definition of it. I'd be careful with my words. I don't like using the word good around anything to do with the lawyers, but it's, you know, a very straightforward definition for void ab initio out of Duhame's Law. So invalid, you're validating it because you're in it. Okay? Now the problem was you were never part of it. So it's not valid. It should be more like non-valid. I like non-valid better than invalid. Like unalienable versus inalienable. Okay? So when you validate something that's not valid, that's based on your own consent. That's why consent removes mistake. Mistake removes consent. What's happening right now is all the legal participants are validating something that was from its beginning invalid, because a child cannot be made party to any legal contract, and nor could they sign, nor could they have consent to it. So it's not legally binding, and therefore, because the child cannot enter a contract, it can't be involved in labor contractions. This is induced labor based on being beguiled. You started to work for something that you were not supposed to work for, and that is Satan. And Satan represents the legal last name. But he only has power and energy when you enter or allow him to enter you. It's kind of like a flip side. You're kind of breathing into his dead body that's ready to be, you know, buried anyways. It's just inevitable, the timing left for him. But at the same time, you're allowing him to possess you because you believe that that legal last name is yours. So you keep on energizing it. It doesn't have any energy without your given name. You pull that out, and there's no possession anymore. It's just what it is. He can't use it against you. And because it represents the money, it's his own judgment on himself. But as long as you're willing to pay for that title, he needs your given name in there. Debt is make-believe. But if you're in, they will make you believe by armed force because you're using their arms. A man is born unarmed, according to Noah Webster's Dictionary 1828, under the definition unarmed. So you were never born with the arms. You took on arms. And the way it would work is you would have to be the one possessing it. I'm going to go as many times slowly over these things. Have no fear when you're in truth. The liars have a reason to feel concerned right now because they know the scam is up. And they know that people are awakening to truth. The problem is the vast majority of the audience is going to energize the lie and continue in it. And we'll go down with the legal citizenship. You have an ability right now to realize you were just a stowaway on that ship. And you need to just get off that ship. It's not your charter. Your charter is with God. And he already has a covenant for you. And it's already done. It's ready for you. But when you keep on trying to do the very thing that works contrary to it, it's just not going to work. So you're wondering, oh, how are you going to do this? I keep on telling you, the government will be your staff when you pull out. Because what are they going to do when you have their seal only having jurisdiction over the last name that was assigned? You were never supposed to be in there. They needed someone to basically confuse the title so that they could place the debt on someone because it wouldn't have worked in the Monopoly game. But Monopoly games are not basically, shall we say, in their world, illegal when there's consent. Monopolies are banned, but not based on consensual participation in them. So we have literally validated what came next. A counterfeit token of value that is basically deliberately left ambiguous and unclear, that you would just surety it and keep walking in and saying, I'm the guarantor for it. That's why these were never intended for who you are. They were just a government bond run by a legal lawyer scam of absolute diabolical characters who have sworn an allegiance with the devil. So the guys at the top end of the legal societies, they're channeling with the devil. And then they'll tell you a vision all day long on the devices they use to communicate their propaganda. Pro-pagan da. Break down the words, you'll understand they're just laughing at you when you're playing on that board. And they just sit back and watch to see how many pawns get killed based on an amusement game of divergence. So anyways, hopefully this little video has helped you. And it's going to get more clear, okay, as we go on. And I just hope that people are not feeling this is redundant or going over the same things, because if people are not comprehending it, it needs to be repeated over and over again so I can break through that layer of that imprinting that has scarred you.